Hi, today is Monday, January 29th, and if you're watching this video, it's because you are one of a few people who have been absent during the course of our Element Comic research project. Specifically, you've been absent during the time that the kids have had to work on the comic. And so I've decided to assign you an alternative assessment. Instead of working on the comic, you're going to be doing something a little bit different. So you guys are the only ones that can see this folder from Monday, January 29th. Nobody else in the class can see that. So let's go ahead and open it up. The first thing I want you to take a look at is let's go ahead and see what this alternative assessment is. So bear with me here because I have different kids who have been gone for different amounts of time. I don't know where you are in the whole element research project. And so I'm just going to go ahead and treat this as if you were not here at all. And so this is the first that you've heard of it. If this does not apply to you, or if you've done an activity that I'm describing already, then simply just move on to the next one. So I wrote on here, you are invited to participate in the third annual Element Comic Con, and that will happen this coming Friday, February 3rd. So we're taking that day to kind of do a celebration. So you are an author who will be introducing a new superhero or villain based on one of the elements from the periodic table. Hopefully you all have number one done, but there are a couple of you guys who have been gone for over a week, and so I'm just not sure. Let me just kind of start here. The number one thing everybody has to do is this element research worksheet. And if you are unaware of this or you need another one, there's a digital copy in last Tuesday's work, or I'm sorry, it's Friday, not last Friday, but the Friday before. There's another copy of this element worksheet. And actually, I think I put it in today's folder. I'll double check as soon as I get out of here. Anyway, using the website provided, I want you to learn about your element's physical and chemical characteristics, as well as some fun facts like who discovered it, where was it discovered, where is it, where can it be found in nature, what is it used for, that kind of thing. So there's a front and a back page to that. You're going to complete the element research worksheet. So first, you're going to research the element itself and complete the white columns front and back. Secondly, you have to decide how you're going to use what you learned about your element in your comic. This is the part where I think a couple of you, I have not been able to check your worksheet, so I don't know where you're at. If you are not finished, in fact, let me come back to this folder. Yes, I do. So this is your research worksheet. If you don't have this done, by the white column, I mean this is just what the physical properties of the element. But then you also need to describe how, or use 5 of these. You don't have to do it for every single one, but use 5 of them to describe or to kind of incorporate your elements properties into your comic. You can ask a friend when you get to class, because I'm not there today. You can ask a friend to kind of give you an example of what they did if you have any questions about that. Okay, let me come back to this worksheet. Okay, now this is where I think the majority of you are. I think that you were ready to start working on the comic, but were sick or absent and have not been able to get started. So, the element superhero or villain origin backstory. The rest of the class has had since last Wednesday to start working on this comic, and it does take a little bit of finagling. You got to get used to it a little bit in order to work it. If you feel like you still want to give it a shot, you know you have to be done by Friday, right? You won't have any class time on Friday because we have the Comic-Con on Friday. And you have a mask that you're going to be making in class. If you still think you'd like to try the comic, that's fine. You certainly can. If you feel like, yeah, I just don't think I'm going to have a whole lot of time, then let's go ahead and just do this. The element superhero or villain origin backstory. Everybody has to write a backstory. Some of the kids, or most of the kids, are writing their backstory in the format of a comic. I just want you guys to go ahead and just write it in paragraph format. Okay? So every superhero or villain has a backstory that explains how he or she became that character. So, for example, Peter Parker was bitten by a radioactive spider and then became Spider Man. This is your opportunity to incorporate what you learned about your element in order to tell his or her origin story. So for your paragraph, I just want double spaced. This is your format. Double spaced, 12-point font. I'd like you to use something very simple, not very hard to read, and fairly consistent in size. So choose either Times New Roman, Arial, or Helvetica. Sorry, my dogs are whining. Hang on one second. Hey. Um, the style, you can choose to write using first, second, or third person narration. That doesn't matter to me. You can write it as if you are the super and you're telling your story, or as an omniscient narrator, or one that is just talking to the people that they're talking to. All right. The length, don't go more than 2 pages. That's plenty. 2 pages. Okay. Your required information. I want you to use the traits that you selected from the element research worksheet throughout your story. You have to tell me what happened. A lot of times kids start off by saying, okay, this is what my person was doing the day of the transformation. This is what happened to cause the transformation. And now here is the character, and these are their superpowers. That's pretty straightforward, and that's what I'm looking for. Again, it's not about writing a story about a superhero or a villain. You are not adding any more detail. You don't have to include any other plot. You don't have to go on an adventure. But remember, we're focusing on the element. And so your character has to have, I just want to know what superpowers this character has based on the element. Okay? Make sure that you include those 5 physical properties of the element, 2 chemical properties of the element, and 3 fun facts. Also, I forgot to say, I'm sorry, part of your grade is that you will be turning in that research worksheet. So don't lose that. Okay? That's worth 15 points. And I'm using that to grade your story, and I'm using it to grade everybody else's comics, because I don't know what your superpowers are based on the elements' character traits. All right, lastly, I need you to have a picture of your hero or your villain. Everybody else has a comic. I still need you. Remember, you're going to a Comic-Con, so you have to have some kind of a picture of your hero or villain. You need to submit a colored picture. Remember to include details that are based on the element you chose. So, for example, let me finish this and I'll give you an example. You may choose to draw the character yourself if you're artistic. If you're like me, you're not, and you want to use a template. And I've got some, and I put them on Schoology for you to take a look at. One other thing, actually 2 other things. I also need you to include a picture of the element's periodic square and Bohr's planetary model for your element. If you're unsure what I'm talking about here, I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. Ask me questions tomorrow, okay? Now, you can either hand draw these 2 things, or if you want to go ahead and if you're going to use a template, or if you want to draw yours and then take a picture of it, and then you want to copy and paste the periodic square and Bohr's model onto that document, and then have me print it out, whatever you want to do, we can do that, okay? This is what I want to show you for the superhero character templates. This is a great example of one that's already done. So this is somebody's example. It is the element gold. And so the name of your character has to be across the top of this page. It's kind of like a poster, right? So you're going to Comic-Con, you have to have a poster of your character that you're introducing. So this is Bohr's planetary model. We've got the nucleus in the center, and then all of the electrons are traveling around in the orbitals that they belong in. So you can just go online and just search Bohr's model of, and then whatever your element is. You'll have tons of examples come up. Just take a screenshot, put it on your poster. And then I also need the periodic square. On the periodic square, I need you to include the atomic number. I want you to include the atomic symbol as well as the name of your model, or I'm sorry, of your element. So then this is Golden Audrey. She's golden, and her first two letters of her name are Audrey. The person underlined a U to show that it's Golden Audrey. Down below, there's a catchphrase. I'm not going to require that you guys have a catchphrase. I didn't require that of the comics, people who are doing the comics, so you're totally fine. So this is an example of Golden Audrey. Here's another one. This Golden Audrey is a hero, clearly. And then Chlorine Gaseous Gary is a villain. And so this is an example of his. Again, we've got the periodic square and Bohr's planetary model. Okay. Your name has to have something to do with the element. So gaseous Gary, chlorine is a gas. Chlorine is a gas that's actually greenish in color. And so that's why green is one of the primary colors here for Gary. So chlorine gaseous Gary. Here are your templates. You're going to see that there's a space here for you to write your name. There's also a space for the catchphrase. Ignore that. You can cover it up. Just leave it blank, whatever you want to. You don't have to have a catchphrase. So I'll let you scroll through and see if you like any of these templates. If you want to modify a template and you know how to do it, go for it. If you want to do something else, you're totally fine. The only other thing I tell you, and is the same thing I told the other kids, you cannot use a name that's already used. So you can't use Iron Man or Superman in some format. You can't use that. And you cannot use a costume or basically just copy a superhero and say, or a villain and say, this is mine. You can't do that. It has to be totally up to you, totally your creation. Okay? All right. I've given you lots to think about. Here are your worksheets if you need them. And just do what you can today, and I will touch base with you tomorrow. All right. Have a good day.